Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Erin and this channel is all about entrepreneurship and living your best life. And this is officially my first video of 2019. I know I'm a little late to the bandwagon, but I took some time off over New Year's to travel to the UK and to Belgium and to spend time with family, and I must admit it was amazing because I feel totally reset and refreshed now. And that is actually the topic of today's video. What I want to talk about is how to reset your life in 2019. Now, of course, you don't have to travel to the other side of the world to do this. You can do it from the comfort of your own home, and I have a really nice process for you to follow so that you can feel totally reset and refreshed to make 2019 an incredible year. So if you did enjoy this video, I would very much appreciate it if you gave it a big thumbs up. And of course, if you're new around here, do not forget to subscribe. All right, so when we're looking at resetting our lives, first of all, think about that concept. What is resetting? It is essentially wiping something clear and replacing it with something new. If you were to reset your phone, you would take all of the data, take all of the photos, everything off there, and essentially get it back to a blank slate. However, my first piece of advice for you to actually be able to reset your life is I want you to really take some time to do a reflection session and think about exactly where you are right now. Why do you even need to reset your life? Maybe you're feeling really stuck in your career or with your business. Maybe you're feeling stuck with your relationship, your self-development, your spirituality. Maybe you've got some really negative health habits or some really lazy habits that you have picked up over the past year. I must admit, 2018 for myself and for so many others was a very heavy year. Lots of growth needed to happen, and 2019 has this very high sense of optimism and renewal. So this is the perfect time to do this kind of work. But in order for you to be able to really reset and start anew, you need to figure out exactly where you are now. So take time to do a reflection session. Write down all of the things that you essentially want to reset. Write down all of the negative habits that you have, all of the negative beliefs that you've picked up. Write out why you ultimately need to reset your life. Because it's one thing to just say, oh, I'm gonna reset everything, I'm gonna figuratively press a button in my mind and my life's gonna change. But when you get really descriptive on exactly what it is you want to do, then it makes it much easier for you to follow through with this process. But I want you to take it an extra step. Rather than just reflecting and figuring out exactly what you're going to reset, I want you to have a forgiveness session. Now, you can get as woo-woo or as practical as you like during this, but all of those negative beliefs that you've had, all of those bad habits that you've picked up, I want you to forgive yourself and anybody else involved. I know this can feel a little silly when you do this kind of work, especially if you're not used to it, but in order for you to move on, you essentially need to declutter your mind. And a really great way for you to do that is to have a forgiveness session. We've all picked up things from experiences in our life, but when we can just say, I'm sorry, I forgive myself, I forgive others, it makes it much easier to put a distinction that that is the past and you are ready to move on. Now, again, you can get super spiritual, write everything down on a piece of paper and burn it, or you can simply just in your mind or out aloud say, I forgive myself, I forgive this person for everything that's happened. But reflecting, figuring out where you are, and then forgiving yourself is the first step into doing a reset. Then my second piece of advice, and this is the one that is the magic, I promise you, but it's a little bit more practical, is actually reset. What you want to do is you want to take at least one day and do a full-blown detox. Now, I'm not just talking about a juice cleanse or even a social media detox. I'm talking about the works. What happens is we are so heavily stimulated in our life. Our mind and our hormones are fluctuating so much because of the dopamine that comes when we get a notification or when we have some food that we really enjoy. We are so heavily overstimulated that today in our society, our hormones are all over the place. And that's why you might actually find yourself unable to get as happy or as excited or as thrilled with life as you would like to. Maybe you're feeling a little bit mundane or like you're in a rut. It's probably because you have hormone burnout. Like, I'm not a scientist, but that's what I'm gonna call it for this purpose of this video. What you wanna do is actually reset your dopamine, reset your hormones, reset your feelings, your emotions, by literally depriving yourself of all that stimuli for just one day. I'm gonna leave a video down below where I heard about a dopamine detox, and it was incredible. But this is a very good practice. If you want this really solid thing that you can do to reset your life, rather than just having it as this theoretical idea that would be nice, this is the things to do. Now, of course, it's gonna be hard, and you can go as hard into it or as easy into it as you want, but the main things you really want to do is no internet for a day, no entertainment for a day, no, heavy food, alcohol. If you take drugs, well, you shouldn't do that anyway, but anything that really is heavily stimulated in your life, you want to avoid it for an entire day. And what you'll find after that day is things actually feel more exciting. You're more excited to do things, to feel things, to experience things. And it's just gonna give you this new zest for life, which is going to make you feel totally reset. And then my third tip is, of course, the standard reset, Bible piece of advice, and that is to have a massive declutter. Now, I'm not just talking about going and decluttering your home or your clothes or your makeup, and while all of those are amazing, I want you to declutter everything. Declutter your vision board, declutter your phone, declutter your computer, declutter your life, declutter your goals, declutter your habits, declutter your cupboard. Like, as much as you possibly can. Go through and just get rid of the junk that you don't need. As I said before, an analogy for resetting, or not even an analogy, the actual act of resetting something is wiping the slate clean and refreshing and replacing it with new incredible things. So spend some time getting rid of the junk in the trunk, get rid of everything that you've got in your life that no longer is serving you. Obviously, an amazing resource for this is KonMari, her method. It's not about necessarily becoming minimalist, it's just about making sure that everything you have in your life is there for a purpose and is there for a reason. And when you can feel totally renewed, I know that every single time I just get rid of all the crap out of my life, I feel like an absolute new person. So do a declutter, but I'm talking about overdrive on the declutter. And then my next piece of advice, and this again is probably a more practical piece of advice, is that you want to make a list of the distinctions from your pre-reset to your after reset. And this is simply just writing out all of the things, your habits, your beliefs that are holding you back that you would like to get rid of, and you should have already done that in step one. But then also actually figuring out what you're going to replace those with. Again, it's easy for us to just sit there and be like, I'm gonna reset my life today, and maybe even do the dopamine detox, but then it's so easy to fall back into negative patterns. What you want to do is you want to create a blueprint that is going to distinct your old life before you reset to your new life. So write down everything, write down all of the beliefs, the thoughts, the opinions, the experiences that you are leaving behind in 2018, and make a list of what your 2019 is going to look like. Now, of course, you could do this even more creatively and make a vision board for yourself or a life goals board, however you want to do it, but make sure you're super clear of what post-reset looks like, because otherwise it's going to be way too easy to fall back into those negative habits. Humans are creatures of habit. That's where we feel most comfortable. So of course, that is where our comfort zone is. But figure out what the new version of you looks like so you can start acting in accordance to that every single day in 2019. And then I've got another spiritual tip. So my next tip, which is definitely a little bit more spiritual, but while you're having your dopamine detox, while you're having your detox day, is to also have a visualization session where you literally visualize yourself pushing the reset button on your life. You can get super woo with this. You can drown yourself in white light or anything, but have a meditation session where it really is for you to say, that is me leaving behind my old life and this is me stepping into my new one. The way that I do this, and you can judge me if you want, but I love to do this in the bath. So I actually did this a couple of days ago where I sat in the bath and I cleansed myself of all of the things that I was resetting and leaving behind, and I made this very clear visualization in my mind that when I stepped out of that bath, I was stepping into the new version of me, the new life. And you can do this as many times as you want. And again, you might not feel like it works, but trust me, your subconscious is absorbing that line that you are crossing, and every single time you make that distinction, you will get a little bit closer to just feeling like a fresh version of yourself. So however which way you do it, it doesn't matter, but have a session where you are visualizing yourself physically pushing that reset button and moving into the new version of you. And then my final tip, which is more of a contingency after you've done the reset, because of course we aren't like phones. We are not robots, we are human beings. And even though we have these amazing detoxes and these spiritual sessions, we of course are going to be able to retract back like an elastic into those old patterns very easily. But what you want to do is have a trigger alert. When you feel yourself sinking back into that list, remember before you wrote the list of where you were and where you want to be, when you feel yourself sinking back into that list, you want to have the most obnoxious trigger alert that completely changes your physiology and your state and really helps you to realize that that was the old me, I need to move towards the new me. And I'm talking about, you want this trigger alert to be so obnoxious that it literally changes you instantly. Even if it is sitting there and going, something that is just so incredibly annoying that it's almost theatrical. But when you find yourself falling into those patterns rather than just, mellowing on it in your own mind, how ridiculous is it to stand there and start making that obnoxious noise? But afterwards, your physiology, your mindset, your state would have changed so much that it becomes a lot easier for you to move to the next state, move to the more positive version of you. Now, for an example, if you were standing at the fridge and you were deciding what to eat and there was a block of chocolate there, or there was some beautiful apples next to it, sitting there and going, you're gonna be like, okay, that was ridiculous. I know what I need to do. I need to choose the apples rather than mindlessly just choosing the chocolate. Wake up, that's your trigger alert. I hope all of these tips were helpful. I know they were a little bit different to probably the reset tips that other people do, but that's what I'm all about. I wanna give you something different to think about. So if you did enjoy the video, please do not forget to give it a thumbs up, but also in the comments below, let me know which one is your favorite tip, or which tip you feel is most likely going to help you to reset in 2019. That is it from me. Thank you so much for joining me here today, and I will see you in the next video.